multiply A and C.
Okay, why?
Oh yeah, there's no.
When do we not multiply A and C?
When A is not 1.
When A is 1. Very good. So when A is 1, we don't multiply A and C because A times C would just give me whatever C is, right? Because A would be 1. In this case, we have to multiply A and C. So what is A times C?
It's negative 30.
Negative 30. What do I do after that, Segi?
And then you set up length plus blank equals negative 7. And then length times length equals negative 30.
Very good.
The lengths are negative 10 and 3.
Bingo. Negative 10 and positive 3. Very nice, Segi. What do I do after that?
And then you bring down the 3y squared from the original equation. Minus 10y. You put a y because this is negative 7y.
Mm-hmm.
And then parentheses around those. Plus. And then another parentheses. 3y minus 10.
Excellent. Okay, keep going.
And then you find the greatest common factor of those. For the first one, it's going to be y. And then parentheses, 3y minus 10
Mm-hmm.
plus 1 parentheses, 3 minus 10.
3y minus 10. Excellent. Segi, are you happy right now?
Yes, because the things are the same.
I'm so happy, okay? I'm glad that you're happy too, because that means that you understand these problems. If those two match, what do I do next?
And then you get the y plus 1. Parentheses, no plus this time. 3y minus 10.
3y minus 10. Guys, give it up for Segi. Awesome job. Awesome job. Okay? Hey, people, we have done, I need you guys to take a moment of reflection. How many of us 2 days ago looked at this problem and they were like, and we did the whole thing and you were like, I'm probably never going to get this. Be honest. Raise your hands. Yeah. How many of those people are actually kind of getting it now? Okay? So, isn't it cool to see how you get better at things as we practice them? Okay? I want you to imagine what you felt like on Monday. And now it's Wednesday and you're like, oh, I can do this. I got this warm up. I did it all by myself. I didn't have any help. Okay? All right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out our homework from last night. So take that out. Guys, this is lesson 7.7, factoring special products. Okay? So we're looking at 2 examples of special situations, okay? Segi, go ahead, okay? The first situation we're looking at is something called, does anyone remember what this is called when A plus B times A minus B happens? Yeah, buddy, it's sum and difference.
I was going to say, just something with area.
Area. Oh, length times width?
No, I don't know why I was going to say.
No, this is called the sum and difference pattern. Now, listen, guys, it happens because A times B is going to cancel with negative B times A. So you're going to be left with, this is no longer a trinomial that we're factoring. What is that?
Binomial.
It's a binomial. So when you're asked to factor a binomial, look for the sum and difference pattern, okay? Now, the sum and difference pattern, you're allowed to use it when both the first and the last terms are perfect squares, okay? So check it out. If we were asked to factor x squared minus 25, the first thing you should notice is this is not a trinomial, it is a binomial. So that's an indicator, okay, I probably need to use a shortcut here, okay? The second thing you want to do is you want to say, okay, take your first term, which is x squared. Do you guys agree? Take the square root of x squared. What do you get? X. Then take your second term. Don't include the negative. So just 25. And take the square root of that. What's the square root of 25? Then you're going to write 2 binomials. They're both going to have x. And they're both going to have 5. Now remember, the pattern that we're looking for is sum and difference, correct? What does a sum mean? What does a difference mean? That's it, we're done.
Wait, that's it?
That's it. Yeah, go ahead. That's it.
Yes. The last lesson.
Hey, bring it back. If I wasn't sure, maybe I'm not comfortable with square roots of stuff, how could I go back and check that this is right?
Foil it.
Let's do it, okay? We got to foil this one. We got to foil at least one of them to check. So, how do you foil this?
Smiley face.
Smiley face. So, first eyebrow is x squared. Second eyebrow is negative 25. Smiley face plus 5x. And the chin, what happens here?
They cancel.
Net positive 5x and negative 5x cancel out. Did we end up where we started?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, buddy.
Are we going to see foiling again, like the algebra 2 instead?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll see foiling until, honestly, there's even, you'll see it in calculus, too. All right. Questions on the first one?
Light word.
People. Let's check out this one. So, how do I automatically know, okay, probably going to use one of my tricks here. It's a binomial, okay, and we're asked to factor it. So, let's take the square root of the first term. What's the square root of 4z squared? 2z, very good. Because the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of z squared is z. And then what's the square root of 1? What number times itself gives you 1? 1. Isn't 1 times 1, 1? Austin, don't take the negative with you. It's just there for show, okay? All right, now, question for you. I'm going to write 2z and 1 and 2z and 1. Addition and subtraction, we're done.
Don't move it yet.
Hold up. Okay, I'll hold.
I'm done already.
Can we do the homework already? I want to do it.
This isn't the whole thing. There's one more trick I have to show you.
Great.
Okay, if you guys are so confident, then do C and D on your own. Go. Come on, Matthew. All right, who thinks they got C? Karen.
So it's a binomial, so you have to find the square root of each one. So for x2, the square root will be x. And for 36, the square root will be 6. And that would give us x minus 6 and x plus 6.
Guys, can she reverse the order like this? Absolutely. What she cannot mix up is you cannot write it as 6 minus x and 6 plus x. That will not work, okay? But she can totally write it like this. All right? You cannot reverse the order of the number and the variable, okay? Very good, Karen. Give it up for Karen. All right. Letter D, excuse me. Salucci.
I got 10 plus m and 10 minus m.
That is correct.
Put the parentheses.
Yes, of course, because otherwise you don't know that you're multiplying. Okay? Hey, Salucci, why did the 10 come first here?
Because the 10 was first in the original.
Very good. 100 was the first number. Okay? Let's move on. Actually, give it up for Salucci. AJ.
So I can't put M first?
No, you cannot put M first. Okay? All right. Next one. Segi, go for it.
I got 3n plus 4 and 3n minus 4.
Do we agree?
Yes.
He's right. Give it up for Salucci. Segi. Nice job, Segi. All right, who wants to take a leap of faith and try letter F? David?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I got 4h minus 7.
4h minus 7.
I got 4h plus 7.
You're so good.
Oh, cool.
Guys, give it up for David. Okay, so we're cool. We're Gucci, we're good. Okay, this second example that I want to show you, this is the last thing I promise, okay, is for perfect square trinomial. So not a sum and difference anymore. This is when we have a binomial, in other words, a plus b squared or a minus b squared. Do you guys remember how I showed you a shortcut for those?
Yes.
You
write it
square
out
the
here.
first term, you square the last term, and then the middle term is 2 times those two multiplied together.
I forgot how to do it.
You forgot how to do it? That's okay. I'm going to reteach you, okay? Matthew, I need you to focus for like 2 seconds, okay? All right. So, look down at the bottom. How we identify this situation. Now, I don't want to lie to you guys. If you were to look at this problem, right, and you would be like, and it asked you to factor, what would you do before today's lesson? Add and multiply, right? A equals what? A equals 1, B equals 8, and C equals 16. So we're going to do this problem how we normally would, right? So I can show you that you don't have to use this shortcut for these problems. Now, on the last problems where it was a binomial, you had to use the shortcut. There's no other way around it. But for these, you can factor the traditional way. So what do I do with these numbers?
A.
Multiply A and C.
Do I have to multiply A and C? No. Blank plus blank equals 8. This is an example when A is 1. And blank times blank gives me 16. It's 4 and 4. Okay. So, what do I write as my factors?
N squared
N plus 4 and N plus 4. Remember, you don't need to do factor by grouping because A was equal to 1. Remember, this is the easy method. What's N times 4? N plus 4 times N plus 4? N plus 4 squared. Do you guys want to know the shortcut now? Okay. Write the question. Oh, go ahead, Carmen.
Isn't it 4?
What?
Like the 4 when you're looking at parentheses, isn't it 4?
If A was not equal to 1, you would have to copy it down as 4N and 4N. But since A is 1, do you remember that process? These two just become your factors. It's N plus 4 times N plus 4. Okay? So when A is 1, it's a much simpler problem. Okay? All right. Guys, the shortcut, write down the exact same problem. So let's write it N squared plus 8N plus 16. The shortcut happens when your first and your last terms are perfect squares. So I want you to write this down. Do you know what the square root of N squared is? Do you know what the square root of 16 is? The only thing you have to check is that the middle term works. What's the middle term?
8.
So you take 2, you multiply it by this first N that we got, and you multiply it by the 4. What will 2 times N times 4 give you?
8N.
8N.
Oh, yeah.
Just make sure that matches what you had for the middle term before, and check this out. You take your very first letter, or your very first term, which was what? N. You take your last term, which was what?
4.
You put them together in a binomial. You add the sign in front of the middle term, and you just square it.
I think I should stop. I'm gonna play it safe.
I made it more confusing than already.
I'm gonna go for the challenge.
So, how many people found that this was more confusing than the original?
It's not really confusing.
Okay, give it a chance because it does save you a lot of time, okay? So let's do it on another one, okay?
That means we have to
First thing you have to make sure is that your first and your last terms are perfect squares. What's the square root of 4x squared? 2x. What's the square root of 9? 3. Take your first and your last terms, multiply them, but also multiply it by
the middle term.
2. You have to do 2 times 2x times 3. It's always 2.
Yeah, but it's not negative.
Hold on. We'll get there. What's 2 times 2x? 4x. What's 4x times 3? 12x. Do those match? Yes, except for the... So how we deal with the negative is watch. When you're writing your binomial, it's just going to be negative. You're still going to put, what's my first term? Not 4x. 2x. And my second term?
3.
And then you square it.
Why is it always 2?
Why is what always 2?
Alright.
Why is it always squared?
Okay, then now let's get in formation.
Why do we multiply by 2? That's what
Yes, Caitlin. Where'd the 2 and the 2x? Okay. Hey. Listen up. So, guys, this middle term will always be 2 times the first and the last term multiplied together. So you take 2, you multiply it by 2x, which is the first one, and you multiply it by the last one, which is 3. Why 2? Because it's always like, when you square this, right, and you FOIL it out, you're going to get 2x times negative 3 twice.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And that's why that middle term is 2 times whatever the first and the last one are. McCarvin?
The thing is so much easier.
If it doesn't equal to the middle term, then you have to factor traditionally. Okay? Did you guys hear that question? Did you guys hear that question? What did McCarvin ask then?
If it doesn't to the middle term, then you have to do
Yeah, so if this middle term, if you get an x here, it doesn't match. If like it wasn't negative 12x, if it was like 24x, you can't use this shortcut. You'd have to factor it traditionally with A, B, and C. Let's try another one.
I got it right here.
Letter C. What do I check first?
It's binomial.
Okay, is it a binomial? No, it's a trinomial. What do I do after that? Square root of m squared. What's the square root of m squared? M. What's the square root of 1? 1. What do I check the middle term with?
2 times. Yeah.
2 times m times 1. What is 2 times m times 1? Does it match?
Yes.
Okay, but what symbol's in front of the 2m? So bring down your negative. What's my first term? 1m.
Wait, why?
What's my second term?
1.
1. And then we square it. Hey, people, I want you to put highlights on where all these things are coming from. This m is being carried down here. Do we see that? This minus sign is what indicates this minus sign. This 1 is what gets brought over here. Andrea. Where did I get the 2? What do you mean when I square it? Okay, so if this holds, right? If I get 2 times the first and the last in the middle, then I know it's a perfect square binomial, okay? So I can go ahead and just write m minus 1 squared. That's just the rule for this case.
So, like, all the answers are going to be squared,
Mm-hmm. All the answers are going to be squared for this part.
Okay.
Mia.
How do you know when you can use the shortcut and everything?
If the first and the last term are perfect squares, right? Do you know what the square root of m squared is? Do you know what the square root of 1 is? Let me give you an example where you can't. Do you know what the square root of 5m squared is? No, me neither. So we can't use it in that case, okay? All right, let's check out C. What do I do? Square root of? D squared. What's the square root of d squared? What's the square root of 25? It's 5. It's good so far. What else do I have to check? 2 times d times 5. What's 2 times d times 5?
10D.
10d. Does it match?
Yes.
Okay.
Now you bring down that
You
negative
just
sign.
always have to multiply by 2.
Oh,
Okay.
Bring down that negative. Then you're going to put D minus 5 squared.
That's it. d minus 5 squared.
And that D comes from up top, so you should highlight it so you know.
Try E on your own. Go.